Hello and welcome to Trader Talk. I'm your host, Dan Worth, and today I'm joined with James O'Loughlin from the Sporting Index Football Desk. James, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, yeah.
Good stuff. And you join me obviously on the cusp of the new Premier League season. Super exciting. How are you feeling about it? Are you kind of set up and ready to go?
Yeah, we're all good to go. Just a busy week ahead now. Just getting the individual matches sorted and just getting ready for the start of it.
I bet. And I'm sure you're looking forward to it as much as I am. So let's jump straight in then. I guess the first sort of topic I wanted to discuss are the two teams at the top of the Premier League points market that you guys have. There's no prizes for guessing who those two teams are. You've got City and Liverpool. You guys have got City predicted at 90 points, which is obviously a couple less than they got last season. But Liverpool 86, so you've got a 4-point discrepancy there. Have you got any comments on that and anything to kind of sort of explain why you think the gap will be a tiny bit more than last season?
I just think Liverpool losing Mane is a big one, really. He seems to be quite a big game player. Nunez still maybe a little bit unproven. I know he scored a lot of goals in Portugal, but in terms of a replacement for Mane, it's possible downgrade. Whereas you could argue City have strengthened, with the signing of Haaland, almost a guarantee of goals. That's why we do fancy City.
That makes complete sense, and I guess you've kind of explained there my next question as well, which is the prediction of each team's season's goals. You've got City in at 97, which again is a couple less than last season, but Liverpool in at 85, which is quite a few less than last season. The sort of Mane and departure and Haaland sort of incoming. Well, explain that fully, really. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you guys are fully on the Haaland train and not so sold on Nunez. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I just think Haaland is a little bit more proven, isn't he? He's scored goals in Germany, scored goals in the Champions League. Whereas, like I say, Nunez, there's doubts on him. I mean, he did look sharp, didn't he, at the weekend in the Community Shield. He got a goal there, so that might give him a bit of a boost going into the season. But I just think overall City possibly a little bit stronger where Liverpool are at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's pretty hard to question City in the direction they're going in. You mentioned the Community Shield, and obviously Nunez did look quite sharp. Haaland, not so much. So I guess it's quite a lot down to how long it takes these players to adapt. You've got Haaland from Germany and Nunez from Portugal, both pretty different to the Premier League, but you never know. One could snap straight into action and the other could be waiting weeks for their first goal. But nice one. Moving on then, let's have a look at the top four. It's going to be another hotly contested season for those two Champions League spaces. And it looks like it's the three London teams that are going for it. You've got Spurs with 72 predicted, Chelsea 70 and Arsenal 67. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that's purely down to some true business in the transfer market for Spurs.
Yeah, definitely. It's been very popular as a buy this season on the season points. Most of the business done quite early. They seem to have backed Conte. On paper they've made some very good signings. Same again for Arsenal. Again, have been very popular. Look to have made some very good signings, whereas Chelsea have been a little bit slow, haven't they? I know they've got Sterling. Is it Koulibaly? Mm-hmm. They still do seem like they're maybe 2 or 3 players short. So I think Arsenal are probably quite a good bet to maybe jump above Chelsea and into the top 4.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's pretty easy to see that Arsenal have done pretty well for themselves in this window. But jumping back to Spurs, I find it quite interesting that they seem to have made loads of shrewd signings, and maybe they do finish third, but they haven't really, well, in the predictions anyway, bridged that gap between the top 2. So the question I wanted to ask you really is, how long into the season do you think it will be before those sort of 3 teams drop off the top 2, or do you think it could be, quite tight, a little bit longer than it was last season, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, Conte only came in halfway through last season, didn't he? And he seemed to get an improvement out of them. Personally, I can see Tottenham going a little bit closer, but I mean, it's still quite a big gap.
Yeah.
it's asking quite a lot to bridge that gap to Liverpool in second. They've also got the Champions League football as well this season. So, I mean, they've got a bigger squad, haven't they? But I think it is asking a lot to challenge for the title this season.
I think so too. Maybe next season we'll be having a different chat, but I think this one is still kind of a bit of a transitional period. And they've made loads of new signings, which again we'll have to adapt. And
I wouldn't completely rule it out at this stage, but I think with the Champions League as well, it might be just a little bit of a distraction. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be exciting to watch nonetheless. Next up is Man United, which just seem to be a complete enigma at the moment. Signings sort of not going their way. Ronaldo still hasn't made his mind up. They're in for 66 points, which is a little higher than they got last season, actually. But I'm not too sure where those improvements come from. Have you got anything to enlighten us with?
No, again, I mean, they've been behind Spurs and Arsenal. They've been our third most popular buy. I mean, some of the signings do look okay. I mean, the manager knows them quite well, doesn't he? The Dutch League. I guess they'll get an improvement out of the likes of Rashford. I think Martial's featured quite heavily in pre-season, hasn't he? Again, that might be an improvement last season. I just think with the manager, I just think they'll be better this season, and I think they'll do a little bit better than they did last season. Again, I don't think they're quite ready to challenge for the top four. But I certainly think fifth or sixth is where I'd have them right now.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you, but I think personally, Man United fans are putting a bit too much hope on the new manager bounce. They didn't get it with Rangnick. Well, not really. I'm feeling a bit pessimistic on that part. But one of the other markets that you guys have that I find super interesting is the sort of season total goal supremacy between City and United. And you guys have got City to score 31 more goals than Man United this season. I guess it's probably not too hard to explain, but that seems like quite a big gap. Yeah,
I mean, there's the gap, isn't it, really, between the team that wins the league and the team that is likely to finish sixth. I just think United, with all the Ronaldo business as well, probably going to lack the goals. Certainly scored quite a few last season in a very poor team, really. I think City having Haaland as well gives them a real, focal point at the top, doesn't it? So I think like you say, it is a lot, isn't it? 30 goals, but that is the gap between the team that wins the league and the team that finishes sixth.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I still think with Ronaldo or without Ronaldo, there's still quite a lot of question marks around United's attack. You've kind of got three strikers in Rashford, Elanga, and Martial that didn't really perform last season. So if you take away Ronaldo's like 20 goals or whatever it is, it's hard to see where they get replaced. But you never know. New manager could have instilled some confidence in those guys, and it could all go great for them. But we'll see. Next I wanted to just chat about a couple of teams that sort of come around in the mid-table of the predictions. The first one of those is Newcastle. I still think there's quite a lot of hype going on here, and I think that people might be getting a little bit carried away, but I'm super keen to get your opinion. They're in for 56 points, which I think would see them sit around seventh. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, they're quite an interesting one, Newcastle, because when we sat down, I think it was the start of June, to come up with the points for this season, I think we expected Newcastle to do a little bit more in the transfer market. I mean, they're fairly quiet so far. I think they've only signed the goalkeeper from Burnley, and they've signed a centre-back Botman from Lille. I mean, I think it brings them maybe back down into the pack a little bit more. But they did end the season very well under Eddie Howe. I think outside of Liverpool and Man City, they were one of the best teams since he took over. So, I mean, if they carry that form into this season, then certainly seventh seems realistic at the moment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Newcastle fans will probably be quite happy with seventh. That is, since they've been taken over, that is probably the progression that they would have hoped to have seen sort of after half a season. I think that's good news for those guys. I just I do question, as you said, with the signings they've made, I've not been overly impressed by. but I guess it's just a case of can they continue the form of the end of last season, and if Howe can continue that, then yeah, you're right. That there's no reason why they can't finish seventh.
Yeah.
But another team that kind of had a good season last year but dropped off towards the end is West Ham. They're in for 53 points. How do you think that works? I mean, I know last season they had their sort of long European run, and that may have hindered their performance towards the end of the season. But without that this year, do you think that's going to make any difference for them?
Yeah, I mean, they've made quite a few signings, haven't they, over the summer? They've decent business. So, I think when we sat down in June, I think we've looked at the the sort of form from January onwards, and they did drop off a little bit. Maybe the squad got a little bit staled towards the end of the season. Always seemed quite like starting 11. So, I mean, there's room for improvement this season. They've signed the Italian striker, Scamacca. It's a good option. Antonio, who they often seem to rely on. So, yeah, I mean, I think it looks quite bright for West Ham, but whether or not they can get any closer to the top out this season.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that goes, because obviously they managed to keep Rice, and as you said, they've made some quite decent signings. So it doesn't look like there'll be a decline there from last season, but I mean, you never know. And then another team I wanted to talk about was Everton. I mean, last season was probably the worst season they've ever had. But obviously great to stay up. They're in for 42 points this season, which seems quite low, but I don't know what you think. I'd imagine Everton fans would be quite happy with that.
Well, yeah, it does seem like at the moment it's just a case of them staying up this season. In terms of our season points, they've been the most popular sell, which is understandable. They've obviously lost Richarlison, who was very important for them last season. And they haven't really done much in the transfer market either. I'm not sure how much money is available to spend either. So, it could be a real struggle for them.
Yeah, and the season doesn't get off to an easy start with Chelsea first up. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll have the Lampard bounce in that opener and then can kick on for them. But I see it being a very tough season for the Toffees, especially as you said, with Richarlison gone. It's a question of where the goals come from, and also their defence last season wasn't sort of A1. So yeah, we'll have to see. I wish them all the best after their torrid season last year, but yeah, let's see. So the last topic I wanted to cover off with you then is the relegation. I mean, it's no surprise to see the three promoted teams predicted to finish in the bottom three. Do you think that's kind of going to be the case, or do you think? I mean, can you make a case for one of those three teams to stay up, and if so, who would you be going for?
For me personally, I think Forest have got a very good chance of staying up. I think the relegation is probably quite open this season. I think there's probably maybe up to 7 teams who could realistically make a case for going down. But yeah, I do quite fancy Forest to have a good go of staying up. Quite like the manager. He seems to have made some decent signings as well. Like Henderson, Jesse Lingard's a bit of a coup, isn't he, for Forest? So yeah, I do quite like their chances. I think Bournemouth probably to finish bottom. Not done a lot, have they, over the summer? Quite a championship standard squad. So yeah, Scott Parker didn't exactly do great when he was at Fulham, did he? So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, to be honest. It seems like Forest have probably got the best chance of staying up. Fulham just seem destined to go up and come down on a continuous cycle from now on forever. And you're right, Bournemouth don't really seem to have made many improvements. So it seems like they're destined for the bottom. But I kind of do wish those teams a little bit of luck, because I know how difficult it is to come up. And yeah, the league just continually gets stronger and stronger. So it's becoming increasingly difficult for those promoted sides.
There's just a few others there as well who I think could struggle this season. One of them is Southampton, who just seem to have stood still now for a couple of years, and you've got to wonder where the goals are going to come from with Southampton. You can't just rely on James Ward for free kicks every week. that could be a tough season for them. It'd be interesting to see how Leeds get on as well. They've made a lot of new signings. It's quite different looking now than the one that came up. And then there's Brentford as well, second season and without Christian Eriksen. So again, it might be tough for them. But yeah, I can certainly see at least one of the promoted teams staying up, if not two.
Nice, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that. And it kind of feels like this season is going to be a dogfight at the top and the bottom. Everyone very hotly contested for the top four, but also with sort of, yeah, as you say, 7 or 8 teams, well, doing everything they can to stay up. It's going to be an exciting one, I think. So if I can quickly get your opinion, then who do you think makes up the top 4, and who do you think makes up the relegated bottom 3?
I think top 4 probably just as we have it in the points, really. Man City to win it, Liverpool, Tottenham, and then Chelsea might just do enough to go off ahead of Arsenal. Yeah,
fair enough. I think it's quite difficult to argue with you there. I guess it all depends on the impact Jesus has, but that one is to be continued. So yeah, if you don't mind, your 3 relegated teams as well.
Tricky one. Like I said, I think there's quite a few candidates. Bournemouth to finish bottom, and I will go with Southampton and just about Fulham. Although, yeah, I do think they will make over this season. Certainly better than they've done in the past seasons, anyway.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for that. I'll be sure to keep up to date with you on your predictions and let you know how you're getting on.
Thank you.
So at this point, I just want to thank you very much for being on. It's been great to have you and then to go through it. Obviously, super exciting time, and I'm sure you're the same as me. Can't wait for the action to kick off at the weekend. I must just remind everyone at home that if you are gambling with us, please do so responsibly, and keep in mind that any opinions in this chat are James and mine and not that of Sporting Index. So again, thanks very much, James, and everyone at home. I wish you all the best this season, and most of all, just enjoy it. Thanks a lot.